morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I want to talk to you about the 14th Amendment because you might remember I've been kind of covering the development of this whole thing from the get-go, and essentially there's a move to try to make it so Trump cannot ever run for office ever again in the United States, any public office. And the argument it's mostly the Democrats. The arguments they're using is that because of J6, because they claim that Trump tried, that he aided or gave comfort to people who tried launching an insurrection, who engaged in, an attempt to overthrow the government, that because of this, he should, under the 14th Amendment, be made ineligible for office. Now, I mentioned before they tried this through the impeachment process. When they impeached Trump after J6, they actually tried to do it, the Democrats. They got it in the House, it failed at the Senate, it didn't work. They tried it again using congressional procedure. It turned out that they're not able to legally do that. Democrats found that they weren't legally allowed to do that in Congress, that it had to go through the court system. Then you had, of course, the court lawsuit, the one in Florida filed, I reported on. That got thrown out by the judge. The individual does not have the right to bring a lawsuit like that. Then I mentioned they're going to bring it to the states. It's going through the states right now, and there's a push among the Democrats to try to get Trump kicked off the ballot state by state. Already, Arizona, for example, I believe New Hampshire, they've already said they can't do it because of state constitutions. It's now heading to the Supreme Court, and this will probably be the last time we legally hear of it. Although you might see some state actions. You might still see, even if it's deemed illegal by the Supreme Court, which I think they will rule on, we'll explain. I think you'll still see Democrats trying to push it at the state level because, just being blunt, they tend to ignore even Supreme Court orders. You know what I mean? It's like Biden was under the Supreme Court, he's not allowed to, do his student loan forgiveness. He's still trying to do it. You know what I mean? And so they'll probably still try to find loopholes or even just pretend they don't even notice the Supreme Court made a ruling on it and do it anyway. You probably will see some stuff like this, especially closer to Election Day, where they just want to do something quickly because this is often what they do. They'll violate a law, understanding that what they're doing is illegal, but it has to be legally challenged, and so people will legally challenge it. The legal challenges take, a certain amount of time. It's not like, you file a lawsuit and next week you're standing before the judge. No, it's like you file a lawsuit and then there's a discovery process and witnesses and subpoenas. And if you really want to drag it out, you can drag it out. I've known guys who've been in like divorces for 10 years. I'm not even exaggerating. If you want to drag out the process, you can drag out the process. And so you'll have people playing politics who will intentionally drag things out until it's after a certain set date that will encompass the goal. If they want to do it for the elections, hey, kick Trump off the ballot, 2 weeks before the election, a month before the election. It'll take 6 months for this thing to go through. After 6 months, they can try to legally challenge it. We'll have our people in place. They'll take care of it. It's that kind of dirty business. There's still a chance you're going to see that. I don't know if it's going to work in this case. We'll be explaining. But right now, it is heading to the Supreme Court, so we are at that stage now. Let me show you what's happening. Newsweek has this story. It says, Supreme Court to decide whether to kick Trump off ballot. It says the legal debate over whether or not former President Donald Trump should be allowed to appear on the 2024 ballot has made its way to the Supreme Court, the highest, the law of the land. It says the court distributed John Castro v. Donald Trump to the justices for conference on Wednesday, yesterday, ahead of the upcoming term, which will begin on October 2nd. The conference is to take place on September 26th, and the case is expected to be decided on or before October 9th. So we should get a Supreme Court decision on this, at least in terms of whether the court's going to hear it or not. We're probably not going to get Supreme Court has decided such and such on October 9th, but we will, I think, see whether the Supreme Court goes through with it, whether they actually choose to really look at this. It says Castro, a tax attorney running for the Republican nomination next year, yeah, good luck with that, sent his petition to the Supreme Court last month asking the justices to answer whether political candidates can challenge the eligibility of another candidate of the same party running for the same nomination based on a political competitive injury in the form of a diminution of votes. Sorry. It says the law, I think they mean you have less votes, right? The lawsuit is seeking to argue that Trump should not be allowed to run for the White House based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. You're going to be hearing a lot of that still. Regardless of what happens with this, you're going to be hearing Section 3, 14th Amendment. You're going to be hearing that all through 2024 because it's going to be a media talking point, even if it's not like a legal argument. But regardless. They say, which disqualifies individuals from holding office if they have, quote, engaged in insurrection or rebellion, end quote, against the United States. While Trump has not been charged with insurrection, Castro is pointing to Trump's role in the January 6th Capitol riot. Here we are. We knew the day was coming. We've been talking about it for a good while now. That being said, of course, the people being charged are not being charged with either insurrection or like rebellion. I think that the term rebellion has been changed a bit in history. These days, if you're a rebel, it's like you're a guy with like a mohawk and too many pins on your jacket. You know what I mean? Like a rebel these days can mean a lot of things. In the past, rebellion or rebel was not like a social rebellion. Rebellion meant that you were actually trying to overthrow the government. Rebellion meant that you were part of like an actual insurrection. They were part of like an armed coup or something like that. That was what would define rebellion. That being said, I would argue that every single elected official, every single one of them, every single unelected official, every single person in any role of government, and any person who in any way participated in the Trump-Russia scandal. Yes, the one where the Clinton campaign and the Democrat Party financed false information from two Russian sources using a former British spy, and then disseminated actual disinformation throughout the intelligence agencies, throughout the U.S. government, and throughout the media apparatus to undermine and to tarnish the image of their main political opponent, Donald Trump, and then even used that information to try to remove him from office while he was a sitting president. I would argue that the impeachment process, that the process of trying to undermine Trump's presidency and the attempt to overthrow an elected leader, the president of the United States, using information they had falsified and knowingly did so, I believe that should actually count as insurrection or rebellion. Especially because they moved on it in such a way where they got a special counsel, Robert Mueller, appointed to investigate, said allegations which they knew were falsified. They knew it was fake, and of course America now knows it was fake. The use of false information, financing it, distributing it, using it in such a way, with the intent to remove the sitting president from office, much as happened over the course of time. They should all be deemed ineligible to ever hold office ever again. That should kick off the ballot every single person who was involved in that process. And that would include Barack Obama. That would include Joe Biden, who was vice president at the time and was part of the meetings they had on it. That would include every single elected leader and unelected leader who was in any way part of it, including members of Congress. I believe 100% that was an act of rebellion and insurrection. Because remember, they had Robert Mueller appointed to investigate claims which they had falsified, that they had financed and disseminated. And the purpose of Robert Mueller, as many of them publicly stated, was, it's Mueller time. Trump's done. Get ready for prison, Trump. That was the big narrative. And so I actually would say in a very real sense, the attempts to impeach Trump, to remove him from office using that, was a silent coup. That was what you would call a palace coup. That was a coup d'etat. That was an attempted coup d'etat. And if you want to talk about 14th Amendment, let's talk 14th Amendment, right? Anyway, folks, what wild times we're in. Did y'all watch the Tucker Carlson interview, by the way? I won't go into that again. Yeah, briefly, I mentioned it yesterday. Tucker Carlson interviewed a guy who claimed that he and Barack Obama were gay lovers at one point, and they smoked crack together, apparently. I don't know if it's true or not. Tucker Carlson did a whole interview on it. You can watch it and judge for yourself, of course. All right, folks. That said, real briefly as well, starting next week, I will not be doing the morning show. The Crossroads, the nighttime show, the 7 p.m. one, is going to go live. So I'll be filming that live, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Over the course of the show, we're going to start expanding that. Probably the goal is to go an hour. I'll be honest, I kind of like the more casual format like this. The reality is that we're trying to go cable. Well, we are. Very strange. We all good still? Let me double check things. All right, we're good. Anyways, Crossroads, of course, we broadcast on NTD Television, which is the sister media of Epoch Times. We're on cable TV, actually around the world, and we're trying to expand that. We're currently launching a 12-hour-a-day news broadcast, so you can watch us all day long, where we have morning shows and evening shows and night shows. And, we'll have a lot of different programs. Crossroads, we're going to have the prime time slot, 7 p.m. And so, for that, we're trying to really develop this show into something, real solid. That being said, it's just honestly a bit too much for me doing a morning show and a night show. And so we're going to cancel the morning show. I really apologize. I really enjoy doing it with y'all. That being said as well, though, we will be holding some events for subscribers and stuff. So I'll still do like fireside chats with y'all and stuff here and there. I mentioned before too. Look, in all honesty, I've been in journalism at Epoch Times, in fact, since 2006. I mean, I guess I'm kind of a young guy. Maybe not anymore. I'm almost 40. Isn't that crazy? I'm kind of a young guy, but I honestly feel like my career in journalism is just still starting. I've only been doing video for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, something like that. And honestly, I see myself probably doing this for the rest of my life. And so, we'll always do things as we think is best for the audience. And it's one thing I really like about Epoch Times is that we're basically funded by our subscribers. You might notice we have some ads. In fact, Crossroads got one finally. We have a American Heart for Gold ad. We don't have that many ads, you might notice. We'd like to change that. But one of the reasons for that is we don't change our content to serve them. The only people we're really held accountable to is our viewers. And so, what you guys want, it's the will of the people. You know what I mean? It's the will of the people. We tend, the only people I'm really held accountable to is you folks. So we'll always do things as we think is best, Also, so many folks are asking about Don Kahuna's, my dad's restaurant. That's in Seagirt, New Jersey. It's seasonal. So I know this is a little off topic. We'll go into more news in just a minute. It's seasonal, and so they actually have to close it in the winter because the building they're in is run by the city. He's looking at another spot right now, and he's trying to start a year-round place. He's looking at Point Pleasant Beach currently, which is just one town south of Seagirt. Actually, one of the places I partly grew up in as well. I traveled a lot as a kid, and so I'll keep y'all updated on that as well. That said, folks, sorry for the tangent, but yeah, so tomorrow will be our last morning show. Although, again, we will be looking into doing some, community events for subscribers and so on. We'll still, maybe like a fireside chat, Q&A here and there. So we'll still be doing stuff. And of course, the night show will be expanding, 7 p.m. Eastern time. That said, let's jump over to Epoch TV exclusively. We're going to talk about the mask mandates and proposed legislation to ban them, and some other stuff as well. Before we jump over, we have an advertisement. Yay, finally. Big thanks out to American Hartford Gold for sponsoring today's episode. Let me show you that, then we'll jump over.
Experts agree. One of the best ways to protect against financial uncertainty is to diversify your portfolio. Learn how physical gold and silver can secure your retirement funds from today's economic challenges. With a gold IRA from American Hartford Gold, you can safeguard your wealth with no penalties or taxes when you transfer your current qualifying retirement accounts. Call now and our precious metals specialists will send you a free information kit, no cost or obligation. American Hartford Gold, a trusted industry leader with an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, has a 5-star rating from thousands of happy clients. Whether you are getting physical precious metals in a gold IRA or delivered to your doorstep, we offer only the highest quality gold and silver. For your peace of mind, we also offer a no-fee buyback commitment, a low-price guarantee, along with free shipping and free insurance. So don't wait. Call the number on your screen today and secure your financial future.